All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Council had a closed session prior to this, so I'll reconvene the meeting at 7:04. I'll read the land acknowledgement. As visitors on this land, the town of Bradford, Gwillimbury acknowledges that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Chinabik Nation, which includes Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, collectively known as Three Fires Confederacy. We recognize that the Huron-Wendat, Chippewa, and Haudenosaunee nations have walked on this territory over time. In times of great change, we recognize more than ever the importance of honoring Indigenous history and culture, and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation, respect, and good health with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. So we do have a motion that arose out of close, so if we can bring that up. So the motion reads, in accordance with the Land Sale Policy Bylaw 2007-032, Council declares the lands legally described as Part Lot 15, Concession 5, West Gwillimbury as Parts 1 and 2, 51R 228989, Bradford, West Gwillimbury, surplus to the town's needs. Moved by, can I move for seconder? Moved by Councillor Daikie, seconded by Councillor Verkuyk. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And I apologize, as Councillor Ferragini declared a conflict of interest on that issue in close, so he was in conflict again. So thank you for stepping back. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Recommendation that the regular council committee whole agenda dated March 18, 2025 be adopted as printed. Moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Question concerns with the agenda? Councillor Scott, we can't hear you. We got him? Go ahead.
We were hoping to move the motions up if possible, please.
Yes, so we want to move section agenda item 20 up to under correspondence. So 11.1 and then right after 11.1, item 20 move forward. So, okay, Council, so we're moving the motions forward on those two items at section 20. Questions or concerns? All right, so approval of the agenda as amended. And I have moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we are now on to declaration of pecuniary interest and then the general nature. If you have one, you can declare it now or when the item comes up. Seeing none, we will move on to presentations. We have none. That's section 7. 8 is deputations. We have no deputations. Madam Clerk, it's open forum. Do we have any correspondence for open forum or anybody signed up for open forum tonight?
Your Worship, we don't have anyone signed up, but I do have a written submission.
Okay, can you please read it?
Okay. The written submission is from Mr. Earl Galaski, and it's regarding report LEG 2025-2, procurement considerations regarding the imposition of U.S. tariffs. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council members, upon first review of this report, my initial resident comments relate to Section 4, Effect on Town Finances. As reported in the media, with the onset of the U.S. tariff trade war against Canada March 4th, more than 40% of Ontarians are now very concerned with losing their jobs. As we all realize, as this trade war continues to escalate, further impacting all Canadians and our financial way of life, the overall local financial debate significantly shifts now from wants to needs. As highlighted in Section 4 of this report, it's clear the membrane facility for wastewater pollution control plant has an environmental requirement and supports the need for all residents and businesses in our community. Fire Hall number 2, while long overdue, is most definitely required to ensure effective and efficient delivery of emergency services, a needed and required build to support all residents, businesses, and visitors to our town. I remain unconvinced by Town Council on the want for a civic center town hall. As a ratepayer, I'm even more skeptical now with this unprecedented global uncertainty and with significant price increases looming as a result of these U.S. tariffs imposed on Canada. Serious reconsideration is needed by Town Council on these projects regarding their future viability. To ensure local financial sustainment remains solely focused on the builds that actually support the need versus want for this entire community and its taxpayers.
Okay, thank you for that. So duly noted. Okay, we are now on to section 10, adoption of minutes and committee whole recommendations. I have a recommendation that committee whole recommendation COW 2025-12 to COW 2025-13 be approved, and the minutes of the regular council of committee whole meeting dated March 4th, 2025 be adopted as printed. Mover seconder, please. Moved by Councilor Kike, seconded by Councilor Giordano. Question concerns with the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. We are now on to section 10.2. Adoption of special council minutes. Recommendation that the minutes of the special meeting of council dated February 25th, 2025, March 3rd, 2025, and March 5th, 2025 be adopted as printed. Move a second for this, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilor Verkuyk. Question concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. We are on to section 11, correspondence. We have one item for correspondence. It is the Township of King strengthening enforcement against illegal land use resolutions. So I will actually ask our Director of Corporate Services maybe to come up and talk about this resolution that came from King. We pulled that. We have been working with King for a while, so just wanted to address it a little bit, and then we'll read the recommendation if it's okay with council.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Leduc and members of council. To put it shortly, both corporate services and enforcement has taken a look at the resolution. We wholeheartedly, fully support that. A couple of years ago, your enforcement division collaborated with a number of municipalities around the GTA. Bigger municipalities, York Region municipalities, but certainly a cross-section that represents Bradford's interests as well. And this group has been collaborating on experiences, best practices, advocacy with the province, comparing notes, looking at ways to tackle the emerging issues that they're facing in these challenging times. So I'm happy to say that this is kind of one of the first manifestations of some of those group meetings. The advocacy continues at the provincial level through forums like AMO, sending correspondence to our MPPs, and carrying out to the good work. I don't think it's news to anyone here that the demands on our enforcement division are emerging. They're growing. Things are more litigious, more complicated, and our acts, Provincial Offences Act, Planning Act, Municipal Act, they need to adapt with the times and represent the interest of the corporation. So what you'll see in this correspondence is requests for increased fine amounts, increased tools in the tool belts, increased provisions to allow municipal staff to address the issues that they're faced. I think an important part of this is cost recovery. So not just for legal costs, but when you look at the staffing costs and cost of remediation and some of these other things that ultimately get put by the taxpayer, I fully support the idea of, when appropriate and upon conviction, the ability to recover a lot of those costs or 100% of those costs by the municipality. So we wholeheartedly support what King has put forward here, and just wanted to give some insight into the behind-the-scenes work the staff are doing.
Thank you, Brent. And just maybe to add to that, as a mayor, I sit with the Small Urban Mayors GTHA group, and we met last year. We've had some discussions in regards to this, where this is excellent what King has brought forward. That's why I was hoping we'd support that tonight. We presented at AMO last year as a mayor's group. We went and presented to Minister Calandria and other ministries about this. It is basically, the cost of doing business for these folks, and it is very time consuming, very costly to our community. So this is a great move forward, and we hope that the province can take a look at this and help us with this, because it's in Caledon big. It's all over. We see it in our marsh. We see it all over. This illegal operations are hurting a lot of municipalities, so we hope to get the tools, like our director said, the tools in the toolbox to combat this where it's not a huge cost to our municipality. So further comments, questions? Councillor Verkuyk?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We need to make it beyond recovering costs and beyond the cost of their doing business. We need to penalize people to prevent it from happening. So the penalties need to be severe enough that it doesn't happen.
great point. I forgot to bring that up, that they're asking for the penalties to be $50,000 to an individual and $100,000 to the corporation. So they are significant penalties that we hope it's not a cost of doing business anymore. It's just, it brings it to their attention. So, Councillor Dykey.
And by having this in place, and I commend King and thanks for the presentation, Brent. By having these fines implemented, you know, it's going to make people much more think about what's being done and be more serious. Thing is, you know, if the fines aren't there, as strong, people have a tendency to take advantage of situations. And you know, I encourage you to, you know, to enforce it and have the tools you need, because as things change, it's important that we have this. As our municipality change, we have to have this. So I think it's wonderful. I just want to commend you on that, and hopefully the province that can help us in any way possible, because this is a very important item in my books as well. Because I've, over the years living here, I've seen people take advantage of it and push. They take the envelope and they keep on pushing it. So by having everything there, we can enforce it and enforce it effectively. Thank you.
I'll go to Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Giordano.
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to begin by saying thank you to you, your team, especially our CAO, because I remember a few years ago it was he started this conversation, and then the council directed staff. It is a good first step, but this is not, by adopting this, it's a first step in my mind, because we still need the government, the provincial government, to do their part so this can be implemented, and they need to understand how important this is. So I urge, after, you know, provided that this is a go, that all of us also do our part and reach out to our MPPs in different municipalities. Our residents can send letters to, so they're behind this, so the province gets a clear message that this is not just another resolution coming from, or a recommendation coming from a municipality, and it gets on the bottom of the pile. Thank you.
Councillor Giordano.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to double a little bit down on what the Deputy Mayor said. Anytime we can give more tools to the toolbox, it's really important. We definitely need to lobby our provincial government, but we need stronger court systems that actually will speed up the timelines, because a lot of people know that it could take months, years for these things to actually make its way through. So we need all levels of government to step up and do their part.
Yes, great comments. And just reiterate, in their bylaw, it talks about making fines proportionate to the economic gain. So that's the 50,000, 100,000. Talks about municipalities to recover our costs, and that's a big one for us, because that becomes, like you said, Councillor Giordano, year after year, courts, the court systems. And then C, to empower enforcement, to enhance enforcement by providing municipalities the ability to impose administrative monetary penalty system by changing the Planning Act. So we want the AMPs built in the Planning Act. So it's a really good bylaw they wrote, a really good resolution. So our resolution, if you're okay, I'll read it now. And so the Township of King, strengthening enforcement against illegal land use. Recommendation, whereas the Town of Bradford receives and supports the Township of King's resolution regarding strengthening enforcement against illegal land use, therefore be it resolved that a copy of this resolution be circulated to the Premier Doug Ford, Honorable Paul Calandria, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and Honorable Doug Downey, the Ministry of Attorney General. So I'll have it moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Kike. Okay, further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, supported. All right, we're on to section 12, staff reports. Oh, sorry, we reminded by, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, section 20, so we have two notice of motions here. Okay, so we have a motion, increase resources and support for women facing abuse. So I'll read it. Or you want to read it? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you know, it is International Women's Day month, and this is not just a motion just for motion's sake. It's a motion because there's an urgent need for action, not just talking, but action from all levels of government to ensure that women feel safe, whether in the workplace, wherever they are in any environment. And being the only racialized woman on council, on a council that is predominantly, white male, I too face challenges. Sometimes the challenges are easier to overcome, and sometimes the challenges are harder to overcome. But you know what? Nevertheless, I just keep going forward and just keep pushing forward. But what about those women who don't have the motivation or the self-drive to push forward? Hence why I'm here today to bring this motion to council, and I'm looking forward to the support. So I'll read it. Thank you, Mayor. Increase resources and support for women facing abuse, whereas domestic and intimate partner violence continues to I am Jamaican, so I'm going to mess it up a little bit as well with the words. So continues to disproportionately affect women in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and Simcoe County, jeopardizing their safety and well-being. Whereas the South Simcoe Police reported 640 intimate partner violence incidents in 2024, an increase from 506 in 2023, reflecting a significant rise in cases of violence against women within Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and Innisfil. Whereas women are more likely to experience severe forms of intimate partner violence, including physical, emotional, and financial abuse, yet face barriers when seeking to leave abusive situations, such as lack of shelter space, limited mental health support, and insufficient legal assistance. Whereas local shelters, such as My Sister's Place, are operating at full capacity, forcing many women to remain in unsafe environments due to the lack of available housing and support services. Whereas the growing demand for police intervention in domestic violence cases highlights the need for a coordinated and well-resourced support network specifically for women in crisis. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, advocates the Simcoe County Council and the Government of Ontario for increased funding and resources to expand emergency shelter spaces, counseling services, and legal assistance specifically for women fleeing abuse in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and Simcoe County. Supports the development of additional transitional housing and affordable long-term housing to provide women with stable and secure living environments after leaving abusive situations. Recommend enhanced collaboration between local law enforcement, healthcare providers, and support agencies to create a coordinated response to domestic violence cases involve women in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and Simcoe County. Request that the county and provincial government establish a designated fund to provide emergency financial assistance to women leaving abuse situations, covering costs such as transportation, relocation, and legal fees. Be it further resolved that this motion be forwarded to Simcoe County Council, the Minister of Women's Social and Economic Opportunity, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities within Simcoe County for their consideration and action. Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, hospital location support. Sorry, wrong one. We're done. I was
looking for that, and I thought, where are we? All right, thank you for reading that. So I assume you'll move this. Councillor Dehaney, you'll move it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Can I get a seconder for this? Councillor Verkuyk? Okay, questions or concerns? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you to Councillor Dehaney for bringing this up. This is so important that we need to do more, not just in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, or Innisfil, or Simcoe County, throughout Canada. If something that we've seen in during COVID is that there are mental health issues that has risen, but also issues like this has came to forefront, and it's not not a good thing when we see an increase from 2023 to 2024 in our own municipality. So thank you for bringing this up.
Good comments. Thank you very much, Councillor Giordano.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this forward. It's a great motion. I have two daughters, and so I always worry that if they were in a situation where they need to get out, and there was a financial issue. That to me seems almost always the biggest barrier for people to remove themselves from a situation, because yeah, you know, whether you leave or whatnot, but if you don't have the financial means to survive, then it makes it that much harder. Um, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I'd like to see how they would do that, because if somebody makes a false claim, how, you know, are those funds recoverable? Because usually there's a court system and everything else that takes a lot of time. So I hope that they would allow this to move forward quite quickly, so then they can escape the situation, and then who cares, deal with the money after, right? Like the point is that we need to have an opportunity for safety first. So I look forward to how this gets developed, and I fully support it.
Excellent, thank you. I've got Councillor Harper next.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to my colleague for bringing this up. One thing that I do wish that this actually included, when you talk about domestic and partner violence regarding women, it fails to mention their children. And I apologize for the graphicness of this, but my experience in dealing with domestic disputes as a police officer, I could have saved a lady who was actually in an abusive relationship. She failed to actually come with the police officers because there was no actually safe haven to bring her children with her. Therefore, she stayed because her kids were there. 2 months later, she was killed. So when I see this, I don't think it goes far enough, and I would consider a friendly recommendation maybe to add something where there's support to actually bring the children along. Because even though the ultimate safety would be for the woman to get out of this place, out of the abusive relationship, get into somewhere safe, it's hard for them to leave their children. Their mother, they bore those children. So it's hard for them to put themselves first in a situation where it comes up like this. I would like to add that in here, or somewhere we're talking about in regards to the dependence of the actual women and support for that. So that way, when police do come and to aid support, or any type of enforcement does come to provide support, there is that outlet for them as well. And even if it is just a temporary relief out of a situation over a domestic or an intimate partner experience that's in a toxic environment, to create that element for the children and the mother at that point, so things can de-escalate and go from there, would actually mean a lot, and could make the biggest difference in, you know, survivability, or even having more women actually want to actually tailor towards this. I apologize for my graphicness in that, but I always think back to that situation, that if there was that support for this woman and her children, she would still be alive. So if I could recommend that we add something in there, I leave it to my colleague there who brought this motion forward.
Yeah, I'll turn back to the mover and ask the second driver, but if you want to comment further. And
Thank you, Councillor Harper, and you do have a point. Being a foster parent for over 14 years, most of the times, of course, parents, mothers are the primary person, the caregivers, right, for the children. So in cases like these, and again, I'm not getting into the courts because I am not but most times they always keep families together, right? They don't just leave children and secure mommy and forget mommy, or, right? They always try to keep, the children with mommy, and again, based on the situation, right? So I do understand that you wanted to have that, but whenever they're looking to care for anyone, right, especially in this situation, they always think about the little ones as well. So I appreciate that. So yeah, all right.
okay. So,
And Mayor, can we also add Caroline Mulroney on it as well, please?
yes, yes.
Thank you.
Our local MP, Carolyn Mulroney. Yeah. Okay. So no changes to the resolution?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for all those comments. No changes right now. So any further comments on this? I 100% support it also. I think it's a great motion, and I look forward to county council dealing with it up at that level when it comes to county council. So we'll work on it there. Okay, see no further comments. I'll call for the vote then. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our second resolution, and it's the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury Hospital Location Support. So whereas the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury and its neighbors in southern Simcoe County and northern York region are among the fastest growing regions in Canada. Whereas South Lake Health has initiated a two-stage open proposal call to identify lands suitable to build a second hospital to serve its growing communities. Whereas in 2023-24, Bradford, West Gwillimbury residents visited South Lake's emergency department more than 14,400 times. Whereas the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury is well positioned within South Lake's search radius for a new hospital site and presents an ideal mix of thriving urban neighborhoods, richly productive agricultural lands, expanding business parks, vibrant commercial centers, and a proud legacy of built and natural heritage resources. Whereas the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury is readily accessible via the Yonge Street corridor, Highway 400, Highway 404, the soon-to-be constructed Bradford bypass, and is well served by GO Train and bus service, as well as Simcoe County Lynx Transit and BWG Transit systems. Whereas South Lake Health invited 6 proponents with lands in Bradford, West Gwillimbury to proceed to stage 2 of their proposal call for a new hospital site. Whereas the proposed hospital sites are located in close proximity to the Bradford settlement area and can be serviced via existing capacity within the town's water and wastewater treatment systems. Whereas Council has established enhanced health care in our community as a strategic priority for the municipality. Whereas a new acute care hospital located within Bradford presents a generational opportunity to provide direct health care benefits to the community, generate significant direct employment, attract a cluster of health science, clinical, professional, and other support services that generate additional indirect employment, grow assessment value, and draw other employment and community investment. Be it therefore resolved that the Council of the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury strongly supports the location of a future South Lake Hospital within the Town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and that Council supports and is committed to expediting development approval and permitting process for South Lake Health to start construction on its future hospital site in a timely manner. All right, read it, moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Councillor Giordano. Questions or concerns with this? Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few comments. I think the motion does a really good job of laying out a lot of the points that we could all make, but it's worth highlighting. This would be absolutely transformational for Bradford. It would bring healthcare closer to home, no more having to drive to Newmarket, but it would also ensure those health services that come in and around a hospital, those would be more doctors, more health services in the community, but also potentially new residents with high-paying jobs and commercial or other storefront type medical services that would be paying taxes. So it would be absolutely fantastic for our community to land this once in a generation infrastructure investment from the biggest public service that the province funds. And I know our MPP, who was just reelected with 60% of the vote, has delivered a lot of important investment into Bradford. And this would be yet another crowning achievement, I think, if we were able to work with the province and South Lake Health to deliver this to Bradford. It's also great for South Lake. Speaking of investments from the province, the new Highway 400-404 link, the Bradford bypass, means that the north end, but certainly Bradford in general, is closer to Keswick than ever before. So Bradford becomes, with that new highway link, so central to South Lake's entire catchment area. And we have a well-educated, thriving, growing, young community that would be a perfect venue for a hospital, great neighborhoods where doctors or nurses or PSWs could buy homes and raise their families. So this is huge for Bradford potentially. It's great for South Lake as well. I think we have a number of sites that should be very attractive to them, and I hope it will be given due consideration. But I really think we're on a once-in-a-generation opportunity to bring more healthcare, more jobs, more services close to home. And I think would be a great host municipality for South Lake. So I'm glad we're passing this tonight, and I hope we're successful.
Thank you. Yes, great comments. On to Councillor Dykey.
Yeah, great, definitely great comments. Yeah, yourself and members of staff, I know you've been working very hard with stakeholders, landowners, staff, writing the reports, and this is very important for our municipality. You know, Jonathan mentioned Keswick. Well, as this town continues to grow, double in the next 10 years, you know, this would be a real golden egg in our community. All the spin-offs, the healthcare alone, doctors are hard to come to a community. This would really tie into our community. Now, Barrie is Barrie, Innisfil, but Bradford was Gwillimbury. And, you know, we could service Holland Landing, Keswick, Newmarket. It works in a great location. We have a lot of land, the right piece of the land, infrastructure to service the land is very possible, and we have the capacity is great. And I commend all the team that put this, Jeff, our CEO, putting this letter together. And whatever we need to do is to keep the dialogue with the province and make this thing happen. I encourage you all to bring it to the table. So thank you all.
Thank you for those comments. I've got Councillor Harper next.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, you know, having us in a flexible situation where we have 6 locations moving to a 2-stage process, and this being in stage 2, allows our, you know, our diversity to show that we're capable and willing to close up some gaps, and bringing home that branch between Simcoe and York that has allowed a lot of our residents 14,000 visits to the hospital at South Lake, and however many more that we actually have that didn't want to go to South Lake went up to Barrie or Allison or other supporting healthcare facilities. So I can say that number is probably larger than 14,000 because we didn't take any into account of what that capacity is we could fill. With our, you know, Bradford bypass coming in and the support from, you know, our you know, newly elected, re-elected MPP, Caroline Mulrooney, this would be greatly appreciated and actually helping out with a lot of, you know, infrastructural needs, plus development in our town in regards to creating that unification of our RCI, I would say, residential commercial industries as well. So I look forward to this, and it looks pretty promising. I hope that, you know, everything is considered in regards to, you know, having that flexibility for the people in South Lake making this decision, and they choose Bradford.
Great, thank you. I've got Councillor Giordano next.
Councillor Scott did a fantastic job summarizing and adding all the additional components to this. The one thing I want to reiterate is a lot of people have moved to Bradford, or they like to age in place in Bradford. And the 2 things they ask for is the Bradford bypass, which the province is delivering on. And the second thing they're asking for is a hospital and medical services that the province can deliver on. So that's something that, you know, Bradford is one of the most attractive locations to live right now in the GTA. With those 2 components, I look forward to all the beautiful growth and the right type of growth that it will bring to this community, but also all the services that it will actually allow people to continue to stay and live in Bradford and thrive in Bradford.
Thank you. Any further comments? I'm just going to comment a little bit here, if you don't mind, and I want to thank the 6 proponents in our community that stepped up and are putting opportunities for our hospital to come here. That speaks volumes about how important it is to our community, and how our community, our development community, our residents, everybody is really involved in this process, and hopefully making this be the area that it wants to come to, that South Lake chooses Bradford. I also say, you know, I want to thank East Gwillimbury. They've got a couple of proposals on the table too, so good luck to them. But I think all in all, South Lake Hospital wins. We have a second facility eventually, which is going to service all of our residents. I just look forward to hopefully that it is successful here in Bradford, Gwillimbury, and I just want to again extend my sincere thank you to the proponents that put the opportunities forward for our community, because it is a big, once-in-a-lifetime generational opportunity for us. So looking forward to the results. Stage 2 closed on March 14th. We're waiting to find out from South Lake the outcome of that. I know they're reviewing the proposals now, and we look forward to hearing from them soon to see which proposals move on to the next stage. So stay tuned, and we'll hopefully hear something soon. So I have the mover second. Further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Excellent. All right, we'll proceed back to section 12 in our agenda, and I thank count. Yep, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a notice of motion. Since we moved 20 up front, would it be okay if I bring this up now?
Yes, sir. We did move 20 up, so we can move that notice of motion up now to that section also, because we did move the whole motion. Now, those are motions that we brought, right? So we actually can stay with notice of motion at the end? Madam Clerk, I'm going to look for your direction on this one, if you don't mind.
I think it can be handled either way. If
Okay.
you wanted to bring a notice of motion now, it's sort of notice of motion / motion.
Okay,
Or we could leave it at the end, whichever you prefer.
thank you. So I go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I was okay either way, but thank you very much. So I will be bringing a motion at April 1st council meeting. As many of us around this table, we have commented and raised how we're not satisfied with the service we're getting from our county of Simcoe as a partner with them. And we have heard from our residents many times that they're not satisfied. They feel that we're not getting the value for the dollar we give and the fair representation when the voting comes. So in that regard, I will be bringing a motion, and I will share all the other details at that time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to propose a notice of motion in regards to density and housing criteria guidelines. Bring forward to this council to reconsider after 2.5 years, 3 years. We would hope that the economy had increased or at least been fluctuating in regards to housing. And we have not had that. I will bring more information forwards to that, but I'd like to review our housing targets in regards to that in a motion.
Okay, notice of motion on the table. Review housing targets. Thank you. Okay, any further notice of motions? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to section 12, staff reports. And we have 12.1, Professor Day Drive Extension. We have a presentation coming to us right now by Catherine Kung and Chris Sidler. Sidler. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Apologize. I'll ask our Deputy CEO, you want to introduce them, or? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Leduc. I'm going to say Deputy Mayor Sandu, but members of council, thank you for having us here. The conversation just about the hospital mentioned a lot about the Bradford bypass. This here is about connecting lands north of Line 8 along Professor Day Drive under the Bradford bypass, the future Bradford bypass. So that's what we're here to present about. Going back to as far as 2007, 2005, there have been master plans that have been done, EAs that have been done, about extending Bradford bypass, or Professor Day Drive past the Bradford bypass, or the future Bradford bypass. These EAs contemplated that crossing as part of the works necessary to build the extension of Professor D past Line 8 to the new communities there. That connection is what will connect or allow the lands north of the future Bradford bypass to connect to Bradford itself. So that's the idea behind it. You might recall that back in June of last year, Council approved the terms of reference for a secondary plan for those areas north of the future Bradford bypass around Professor Day Drive. That's known as Community Planning Area 5. That idea really brings us to to today, the province is moving ahead with the design for the Bradford bypass. Part of that design does not include the connection of Professor Day Drive on the Bradford bypass. In conversations with the ministry, they've told us that if we could get the EA addendum done and the designs done, they would consider including it. And that brings me today. That's what we're doing. The landowner group for CPA 5 have undertaken unto themselves to do that EA addendum. And today what we're here to present is what we've done to date, where we are, and what those next steps are. Chris, who's the Vice President of LEA Consultant, they're doing the work, will do the presentation as to what we've done and where we are in the next steps. Chris, over to you.
Thank you, Mahesh, and thank you, Mayor and members of Council. I'm very pleased today to, provide you an update on to some of the work that we've been doing with respect to Professor Day Drive Extension as part of the work that we're doing with the CP5 Landowners Group. So if we can advance the slides. So just to provide an overview of the presentation that I'm going to provide today, I'm going to start off by providing a little bit of the project background, where we got some of the context and where the project originated. We'll get into more details with respect to the overview and the specific challenges that we are addressing before getting into details on what changes have occurred through the process, as well as providing some details on the implementation and next steps. Next slide. So with respect to the project background, as Mahesh indicated, that the town had initiated a municipal class environmental assessment, a Schedule B, for the extension of Professor Day Drive from its current terminus at Line 8 northward towards where where the Bradford bypass was planned previously. As you can see, the area north of the Professor Day Drive extension, as it passed the Bradford bypass, it was deferred for future study as part of the secondary plan work to be done for the CP5 lands. The need for Professor Day Drive to be extended up was really to accommodate the growth that is planned for this area, as well as to provide an alternative route to the traffic along Yonge Street, and to provide and accommodate active transportation facilities to be crossing the Bradford bypass as by means by which they do not have to interact with the interchange themselves. It should also be mentioned that the Professor Day Drive extension to the point has been initiated its construction. It began its construction from Line 8 northward, currently terminus just north of Mackenzie Way. Next. So the work that we're doing as part of the addendum, as many people may have appreciated by this point in time since 2012, the MTO has shifted the Bradford bypass in the location of Professor Day Drive. What this means is the previously approved and prepared addendum had a terminus and a grade separation between Professor Day Drive and the Bradford bypass in a location that now needs to be relocated further to the north. The MTO is also in the process of currently undertaking the detailed design study for the Bradford bypass section and intends to complete the tendered construction in the near term. Through communications with the MTO has indicated to us that should we go through the process and undertake and fulfill the EA requirements, as well as prepare the detailed design by September, then they are going to be able to consider it for integration into the detailed design package for the Bradford bypass. To this end, the CP5 Landowners Group have initiated the work of the addendum and the detailed design work for the PDD extension. Next. So the process that we have undertaken as part of the addendum includes a fulsome update of the addendum itself. It started back in January with the identification of the the need by the MTO to update the environmental assessment requirements. We then, at that point, undertook a number of technical studies within the study area, including stage 1 archaeological assessments, the natural environment, geotechnical, stormwater drainage, and natural environment. All of these have fed into it, as well as a detailed review of structural design to identify a number of different options for the potential crossing location, and the drafting of a draft project file report to be prepared and presented to the public in April. Following April, there is a series of planned designed improvements through the package to bring us towards a 90% design package by September. So it's a relatively aggressive schedule to get us there, but we've been able to, at this point, work with a number of the projects and studies that have been prepared as part of the work that was being undertaken for the CP5 secondary plan as it was, to be able to support the initiation of this study at a very quick speed. Next. So with respect to some of the design changes itself, with the relocation of the Bradford bypass further north, that means a number of changes to the design had to occur as well. So most notably, what we have done is we have shifted the location of the Bradford bypass from its previously proposed location 15 meters to the east. This was to minimize the potential impact against adjacent properties and mitigate any need for additional property requirements outside of those lands that are controlled for the CP5 landowners group. Obviously, the second component is the location of the bypass itself. It is now shifted north to fall within the right-of-way of the highway extension. And finally, a redesign of the stormwater management plan. With the relocation of the underpass further north, it creates a new low point, which would need to develop a drainage and stormwater plan to outlet it to the Fraser Creek. Next. With respect to the implementation, we see the implementation of this process occurring in two parts. The first part will be the implementation of the construction of the structure itself. So this is the part that will hold the highway. The intention is that it is integrated within the Bradford bypass construction project and built with the highway construction itself. The road extension itself can be constructed at a later point in time to be coordinated with the development in the area. Next. And then moving forward, there are a number of steps that need to occur over the near future. So with after the presentation we make today, we are coordinating with our colleagues at the MTO and other regulatory agencies for the completion of the addendum, filing it in April, and then initiating the remaining supplemental technical investigations to inform the detailed design as we move forward. With that, I want to thank everyone for your time and happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation. Chris, any comments or questions on the report that we have in front of us, or anything on the presentation that Chris and Mahesh had provided to us? Councillor Giordano?
Thank you. So I guess Professor Day cuts through both Ward 4 and Ward 6, but it's a road that a lot of people in the town use. Professor Day is already one of the most ticketed and speed enforced required roads. Connecting this to any other area, I know we're going to go under the bypass, but it has to go somewhere. So that would only add to the to the issues, and we need to have the safety mitigations implemented in the study when we do this to make sure that we're not using it as another type of a bypass to get from Yonge Street through down into our subdivisions, as opposed to taking the more arterial roads. One of the things I noticed is it's not really proposed to study the area to connect to 9th line. It just kind of dies. And I assume that you're going to try to dogleg it right all the way over to Yonge Street. I think we should also look at connecting to 9th Line. I think that's more of a north-south corridor as opposed to connecting to Young, where all of a sudden all the traffic will cut through and bring right into the middle and the heart of our town. Like we have a lot of schools. We got a high school, an elementary school. It's a 2-lane road. It's already a bit of an issue. So again, I love the idea of the road for development purposes. And I have a great way actually how we could pay for it. If we talk to the province, previous council members advocated for a 4-leaf clover on the 10th side road for an on and off ramp, which, to be honest with you, seems completely overkill because you have the 400 and you have Yonge Street right there. If we were to advocate and say, hey, listen, let's take this out and save hundreds of millions of dollars to the province, we can more than pay for this and still have money left over. And we don't have to take a chunk of Henderson Park, reconfigure the field. We've already expropriated they've already expropriated some of the land for some of the residents. But, again, that area would be easier for people to ride their bikes and get to Henderson Park without having a 4-leaf interchange there. So just some of my thoughts on that. I don't know if you could consider that, but I'd like to see that part of the study.
Thank you.
Through the mayor, with respect to the next, the area north of the current the study area, the reason why that it stops where it is right now is that was the extent of the previous 2012 EA. It took it up to the north side of the Bradford bypass. We're continuing that process, taking it to the north side of where the Bradford bypass is planned at this point. The next stage of the process as part of the CP5 secondary plan area will be to develop the road network that supports that area, including what will be the extension from where it takes it off from the north side of the Bradford bypass to either off to Yonge Street or up to 9th Line. That will be a part of the consideration, yes.
Okay, all good with the answer. Okay, thank you. Councilor Dickey?
Just a few comments. I just want to commend your group when it came to the open house. I felt that your consultants really had a lot of the answers that the public came for to ask, and you did a great. I felt, and I've seen a lot of open houses and over the years, and I think it was very informative to the residents, and this is all important. Community Area 5 has been on the books since 1, 2, 3, 4, all the community areas, and this is the last community area plan that started back in, I guess in 2002. I guess it goes back that far, but I'm looking forward to see this project forward, and it's Councillor Joe came out with some really good points on Middletown versus Professor Day. That's that's something to look at. At the end of the day, the transportation on the 8th line, 9th line, and these vertical lines are very important in our community, and I hopefully that the province listens and ties into this Bradford bypass, because all these infrastructures are so important for the future of the municipality, especially with the amount of growth coming north, and we have to prepare and plan it properly. But at your open house, I really seen, and I got a lot of comments from residents from different areas that just came out with keen interest, and they were very impressed with your presentation that evening. I just wanted to pass it along to you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks for your presentation. So if I'm clear, the scope of the work that's part of this report is just what you've shown in your presentation. Anything to do over and above, which might be good suggestions, but is not part of this, what we're looking at tonight. Is that correct?
Through the mayor, yes. The extent of is within the right of way of the Bradford bypass. So just because of the right of way has been shifted to the north, the right of way for Professor Day Drive has to be extended to reflect the current terminus and where the grade separation would need to occur, since the highway is no longer where they're previously planning it.
Okay, thank you. Just follow up. So going into next steps, when you file the report, I don't know what date you have in mind or when you have it planned, that's when the 30-day period starts for residents or anyone to comment?
Through the mayor, yes. So the intention right now is for us targeting April for when we will be filing it. At that point, there will be a 30-day public review period where our project file will be posted online. We will then receive any comments that the public or members of the ministries or the municipalities will have at that point, and we will receive any and respond to them at that point.
Just final comment. So during that 30-day period doesn't mean that the work with MTO or other entities doesn't stop. It can still continue in the background. Thank you. Thank you again.
Through the mayor, yeah. The work will continue. We're collaborating closely with the MTO as part of that. They're a major partner with this and ensuring that they're satisfied with the design that we're preparing.
Thank you for that. Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. To our Deputy CAO, when we're proposing that this underpass is moved north now, and they're able to comment at it, does that change the landscape of how this road will actually connect over to Yonge Street in regards to the lands and how that will affect the residents on the backside of Line 9?
Through Mayor Leduc to you, Councillor Harper. The shifting of Bradford bypass and hence the shifting of the grade crossing, in of itself, yes, it will influence what happens to the north, but that, as Chris said, that exercise to determine the road network to the north is part of the secondary plan that's on the way, and it's separate from this. That's happening for CPA 5. So that's a different conversation. Go back to your first question. Yes, it will influence that. I don't think it will dictate what the answer is.
Okay, that's a good segue into that point. Is this, if we have an open 30-day commentary part with that, how could our residents who are impacted by that shift north really comment truthfully on this northern shift of underpass, if it will affect them? How will they know if we don't have a mock-up design or anything like that to actually allow them to freely give comments when they'll be truly affected only on stage 2? But stage 1 will already be done, the underpass will be built. Well, it's already there now, so we'll just leave it there? No, like, you see what I'm saying? How can we mitigate that strategy so that we can have fair commenting?
Yeah, through the mayor. So as part of the secondary plan process, there is another public period by which the community is going to be able to engage on the land use plans that are being proposed, as well as the road network. As part of the secondary plan, it requires us to do a detailed transportation study to evaluate what the potential options are and what the impacts there may be on that. So there will be an opportunity for us to be able to bring that back out to the public for them to be able to comment at that point in time. To the point about, is it kind of baked in that whatever the answer would be at that point, and how do they see what the future is? That is a part of the ongoing plans that have been in place for this area for quite some time. This is a previously approved environmental assessment that had been done for the extension of PDB since 2012. It had started construction. The only difference at this point that we're making is that the change is the location of the Bradford bypass is no longer where it previously was, and that as a result, in order for us to begin to move forward with its implementation, it must be addressed. It has always been something that has been on the books for the implementation as part of the official plan, as part of the previous secondary plan work in the area.
Okay, yep. Another question, Councillor Giordano.
To the CAO, could we have all the comments or the questions that were asked followed up through as an email from whoever, the staff, whatever? I'm just not comfortable with some of the comments, like I think, and stuff like that. So I'd like to have a little bit more information that's actually been detailed with answers. If we're not sure, then when or how the process is, just it's a little bit clearer for me.
Thank you, Councillor Giordano. You're referring to the questions raised tonight? Yeah. Sure. Yep.
Okay, Councillor Dehaney.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question. Was the pause of this application was because of the uncertainty of the bypass?
Through the mayor, the impetus for this one was actually the planned tendering and detailed construction work for the Bradford bypass itself. The MTO is moving along with the design process. They are intending to have a 90% design package in the very near term, and they had indicated to us that it was imperative if the Professor Day Drive was to be included in that the design work needed to be caught up to the plans where they are. So by that, they had indicated to us that it was imperative that we undertake this work, make sure that the EA requirements have been addressed, and that we undertake the design work to match in with their process. Otherwise, it was not going to be able to be integrated with the construction work for the bypass.
Okay, thank you. Further comments or questions? Okay, so I'm going to read the recommendation. I don't see any further comments or questions. So the recommendation is that report DCAO-2025-5 titled Professor Day Drive Extension Presentation on Environmental Assessment Addendum be received for information. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Dehaney. Further comments or questions? Seeing none. All in favor? Carried. Opposed? Any? No? Okay, good. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. We're on to 12.2, the Holland Marsh Zoning Harmonization Project between King Township and BWG. I will read the recommendation. That report, GS 2025-02, titled Holland Marsh Zoning Harmonization Project between King Township and BWG be received for information. And that Council endorse the draft work plan with King Township to facilitate aligning both municipal zoning bylaws to support alignment of uses and performance standards for Holland Marsh. Moved by Councillor Verkuyk, seconded by Councillor Scott. Questions or concerns? Councillor Scott.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm really pleased to see this coming forward. We've had a great series of discussions with Director Best and her team and the folks from King Township and the Holland Marsh Growers Association, ably represented by Jody Mott. And this is what it means, I think, to cut red tape and support the people who grow the food that we all eat. If we can find ways to make life and business easier for our farmers, we should do it. And trying to find ways for King and Bradford to collaborate and standardize our processes, it's really going to help. And time is money in business as well as in agriculture, and agriculture is business. So I'm very excited to see this moving forward.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor or Deputy Mayor Sandu. Okay.
Thank you, Worship. I want to thank everyone that's been involved with this. This is very good. Very, I should say timely, but I think it's we're a bit behind. The question I have is the $15,000 cost for the 4-month term. Is that the cost to BWG, or is that the cost shared between both municipalities?
Through Mayor Leduc to Deputy Mayor Sandu, the cost it was to the town. If we were to take in a co-op student, that is the standard amount that's budgeted for a 4-month co-op term.
Thank you for that. The reason I was asking is since the work is harmonizing both of the bylaws and the legwork is going to be done by co-op student or guided through our senior staff, is it still Bradford's cost? It's not a big cost for the project that we're doing. I think it's a minimum cost for what we're trying to accomplish. Just for benefit of the public, I want to know if it's us or combined.
At this point, I just wanted to put in what it would be cost to us. We are working with King Township as we work through our draft issues list and a work plan to explore funding options. I would just like to put a little plug in here. We've got Jody Mott from the Holland Marsh Growers Association with us tonight supporting this item.
Thank you. Okay. Further questions or comments by anyone? Yes, Councillor Kike, sorry.
Yes, in all due respect to Councillor Scott, we all want to cut red tape, but some of the stuff we want some red tape to preserve our farmland in the Holland Marsh. So it's kind of a two-sided thing.
Yes, okay. Councillor Harper next.
Yeah, Mayor, if I could ask Jody Mott to come up and actually give us an explanation as to why this is important to the Growers Association, would that be possible? She could speak on it.
She's already here. Go ahead, we'll allow that.
Through your mayor to Councillor Harper. This is something that's been asked for years and years on council. We've been looking at it. When you're a farmer and you own some in King and some in Bradford, and you have two sets of rules, and you've got to go through two different ways of doing it, and I've got different old rules, new rules. Bradford has not reviewed their bylaws and their stuff. King has to some degree, but they need to review them again. So we're requesting that they have a cognizant group of people look at this. We make proper decisions, preserving farmland, but giving them the ability to be able to get the food to the table. And it's even more important since we have had the tariff threat as well.
Further?
Yes, Mayor. So when we have basically two different types of municipalities with different bylaws and stuff, where do you see the harmonization in regards to this coming to an end? Will it fall towards that we actually create something that's joint, or do we pick one or the other?
What we would like to see, sorry.
Who are you asking? Our staff or Jody? Probably our staff.
Through Mayor Leduc to Councillor Harper, it would be something that would be a collaborative effort, so that it would have to be each town or municipality would have to approve their own zoning bylaw, but the hope is that the definitions, the permitted uses, the performance standards are the same on either side of the Schomburg River.
Okay. One more, go ahead.
If we can't come to terms or agreement in this, would that be brought back to us saying that it didn't work out, or do we have confidence that this will go through?
To Councillor Harper, based upon our collaborative working group that we've had 2 meetings on, there seems to be a joint effort by everyone from King and BWG to make this work.
Yeah, thank you. This has gone on for a while. The Holland Marsh Drainage Board has been working on it for a little while, and it's finally got to a point where we've got it to right here in front of us, and we've got some funds allocated for it because we didn't allocate funds earlier. So that's why our director Bess has asked for 15,000 for summer students. She's come up with a creative way to help us get this process rolling. But I think it's an absolute wonder for everyone. I really hope this, and I know it will. I mean, it's very collaborative. We have King representatives on that committee with Bradford representatives, so pretty sure this is all going to get together. It is the farmers that are really pushing it in the end. They want to see that. It's absolutely, like Jody said, you're farming on one side and you're farming on the other side, and there's a different rule. It doesn't really make sense. So we're happy to see this, and I'm excited. So, Councillor Kike?
Yeah, I just wanted to also comment. I think one of the things we also want to do is extend some of this harmonization to the north part of Bradford with Gwillimbury, because we grow carrots and all sorts of things in the north end of town.
This is going to lead into us actually looking at our zoning bylaws throughout, our zoning bylaws back in 2010. So this is the start. It's going to give us a great base for when we want to move it up to the Highlands and stuff like that. So, but it is in the books to go and redo our zoning bylaws. Once we finish our OP, then we'll move into the zoning, stuff like that. But this was a very important piece. I think we had to start right away, get that done before we get into that next step. But you're absolutely right. We'll get this done, and it'll be benefit to our community eventually to have this all, and this will be the foundation, the building block of how we can do the rest of the zoning throughout our community, especially for when it comes to agricultural land. So, good point. Okay, any further comments or questions? Okay, I read the recommendation, right? We have a mover to seconder. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. We are on to 12.3. We have our 2024 Drinking Water Systems Compliance and Performance Upgrade. So I have a recommendation that report titled 2024 Drinking Water System Compliance and Performance Update and its attachments be received for information. And I have our Manager of Water, Joe Kratrix, is with us tonight. So if we have any questions for Joe or Samantha's here also. Our compliance manager is here. The whole team is here, I think. So, seeing any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Kike.
We were supposed to have a training session in our first year of council about sort of the Walkerton drinking water, and we missed it. And I think we should maybe address that.
I'll ask the CEO, could we, can you look into that about, yeah, we'll look into that. And Joe's a great trainer, so we can have, no, you're absolutely right. Let's do it. It's good to know. The more we know about this, the better. It's about protecting our water system, about protecting our residents, and our staff do a great job. I want to thank all of them for this large report. It goes down to MECP, this report, and it's, I think there was 100% compliance. I think with 3 minor issues in there somewhere about reported, nothing to worry about. It was just spills or whatever it was. I'm sorry, I'd have to call up the report. My dashboard's dead right now, so. But no, it was a good report, and I thank everybody for it. And it is very important. Yes, the Walkerton issue made us all learn, and it's costing us a fortune, the Walker report, because of the incompetence back then. And we all, as fiduciaries and as the board, we have to make sure that we're understanding of that process. So anytime we can sit with our team and learn about the system is really advantageous to us all. So, Councillor Giordano, you got questions? Thank you.
This is I'm not sure which member of the team that's here, but often on social media, we ask people questioning, oh, what's going on with the water? Like, I smell a chlorine or this and that. And then we have to go through and send a report, and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool, and it goes away. What I like to see is, now that this report has been completed, is there some sort of a communication that we can put out to the public to let them know, you know, even if it's like almost like a cheat sheet on, yeah, here's the summary of the report, or like you know, some sort of a documentation that states, or even with the water bill, that just says like, hey, your water's in great condition and we're in compliance and we're doing everything amazingly well. Because I think it'd be very beneficial to also educate the public as well.
Through your worship, Councillor Giordano, we currently have, you know, we have our water services line, so we encourage all complaints that come into that, or concerns or questions are all documented. They're all reported. We have to report on that we're doing it, and we respond to each one as they come in. I believe they are also using our social media and whatnot. For example, the flushing, we're starting our flushing program. So if they run into a bit of colored water, they may know what to expect. And over time, people have picked up on that. So, but we're also looking at any other, anytime we have an opportunity to put it out there, that's basically where we hit it with the social media.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I've noticed that a lot of members have been commenting about the flushing, and they're very appreciative. And then if they don't know, a neighbor is quickly there to remind them, oh, I saw this post, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, thanks. Okay, I didn't know. So that's fantastic. What I just think the score is a very good score that we have. We have a very good track record here. I think we should be communicating that about our water and how good and clean and efficient our team is. So I think it'd be very beneficial people know, because at the end of the day, when we took the tour of the wastewater treatment facility and everything else, I learned so much. Like, listen, I've built wastewater treatment facilities. I don't know how they work, but the fact of the matter is learning about it, and then the difference of, you know, it's not chlorine, it's a different chemical right? It's like it's not chlorine, it's something like chlorine or something. I don't know. Anyways, you start learning about parts per million, all that stuff. So having some sort of a, you know, a cheat sheet or a cue card that just kind of says, hey, this is what it is, and we're, you know, and we're on compliance, and here's a link if you're more interested in reading the report. I think that goes a long way to just, again, I'm big on advocating and giving as much information to the public as possible, whether they go for it or not. But I think it's a great story to talk about and share. And I'm proud to have to live in a municipality that has, you know, fantastic water.
Yeah, I think we can certainly, with our comms team, post the about tonight's report, and you're absolutely right if we share. And I would encourage others to show people to come into our social media feed also, see our social media, because we do the flushing. It's coming up, so we're going to see those complaints, and if we can advise everybody about the flushing program and follow our social media platform is excellent for people to understand. So I got Councillor Harper next.
Thank you, Mayor. It's more just a comment and appreciation for, you know, the liquid gold that we do have. I mean, in my travels around the world that I've been lucky to have, you know, I know quite a number of people that actually do not have the resources that we do have. So for us and for our staff to actually meet the level of that my colleague was talking about in regards to the quality of water and wastewater treatment plants and stuff that we do have, and maintaining it at such a high level, it's not an easy task. So thank you. We are far better off having such a commodity where so many in this world don't. So it's not lost on me. And being able to travel and seeing that people that survive with far less greater facilities than we do, it's actually a little bit humbling to see and appreciative. So thank you.
Now he's got me afraid because he said liquid gold. And if this gets into the American news, we're going to see Trump wanting to come up here and turn the tap on. So just a quick joke, but excellent. We do have a great system here for our water, so thank you, everyone. Any further comments or questions? Okay, I do have a mover to seconder for, no, I don't. Okay, moved by Councillor Harper, seconded by Councillor Dykey. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Thank you, folks. Up next, we're on to 12.4. We have our wastewater performance report. So I have a recommendation that the report titled 2024 Wastewater Performance Report and its associated attachment be received for information. Mover second for this, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Giordano. Questions, comments on this one? Another great report, good findings. Yeah, we can post about these. I think they're. Yeah, I think they are of value to post them because we do a great job, and we should show the residents that we the great work we do out there. So, okay, thank you everyone for coming, and appreciate the changes to the report. I thank you for that. We had a right. Yeah, we're gonna vote on it because I have a mover and a seconder, correct? Yeah. So we'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Thanks everyone. Okay, we're on to 12.5, procurement considerations for imposition of the U.S. tariffs. So recommendation of the report, LEG 2025-2, titled Procurement Considerations Regarding the Imposition of the U.S. Tariffs, be received for information, and that the procurement policy LEG 001 be amended to reflect two procurement threshold categories. One, procurements valued under the Canadian Free Trade Agreement, CETA, so CFTA threshold, and two, the procurement values over the CETA, that should be the CETA threshold as detailed herein. Is that the CETA? Yes. Okay, so the CETA on the second one. Okay, questions or mover second to put this on the floor, please. By Councillor Dehaney, seconded by Councillor Giordano. Question concerns with this report? We have our manager legal here, so Councillor Harper, you're first.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually all in favor of, Canadians building a lot of our resources, our products that we have. We're one of the richest resource countries in the world, and we definitely do not take advantage of what we're able to produce here. The only concern is that when I see us rushing to the tariff processes and the procurement processes and considerations here, what I would love to have seen is some examples in regards to costs and what those will come back to us on. I know you gave us an outline in regards to what the overall matrix or numbers were in regards to what we have to meet to in regards to CFTA and the actual Canadian Free Trade Agreement guidelines. What I didn't see is what the actual impact would be to some of our procurements in regards to costs. Making that decision, I think we shouldn't be rushing so much into that. And I'd like to see a little bit more information on this before we actually decide on that, this actual staff report. Or at least getting some of that information. Whether that means if you reach out to some of our tenders that we do have, if we have projects on board or that will be coming up, and getting cost comparisons for us to understand what that fully means. Because one thing it could mean is that even though we've been dependent on a lot of free trade and independent of a lot of other countries to bring in resources, one thing we haven't been set up for is actually production. We don't have a lot of the actual production resources or the manpower to actually meet a lot of these requirements. And that timeline still has yet to actually produce itself and kick that engine starting up and allowing us to actually start producing that. So there might be a bit of a hiccup. And whether it's great to jump on board with everybody with the Canadian Free Trade Agreement stuff and the tariffs and jumping in on that, will this be actually hurting us or impacting us? So for CEO, if we could get that information, even whether we move this forward or not, and that comparison, I'd like to see that and be a little bit more informed in seeing the impact.
Thanks, Councillor Harper. So just that I'm clear, you're looking for an estimate as to what increased costs might mean for the town with respect to the impact of the tariffs? That is a great question. No. Great question. I'm not sure how we could answer that. If we attempt to forecast what the relative costs would be of domestically produced product and equipment versus equipment materials sourced from the States or elsewhere, I wouldn't know where to begin to try and estimate that. It obviously be very helpful, but that's part of the dilemma of what we're all facing is the unknown. The timing of tariffs, the extent of them, whether they're on, whether they're off, it seems to change not just daily, but by the tweet on an hourly basis. So what our staff have set out here is providing ourselves with added flexibility to procure as much domestically as possible, and even on a go-forward basis, so that there's some practices being established through this that will continue to be helpful, kind of regardless of how the world trade wars play themselves out. So that's the best we can do based on the info we have, and certainly take any other thoughts or direction from council on this, but I think it's a well thought out approach, again, based on the info that we've got.
Okay, thank you. I've got Councillor Sandu first, and then I've got Councillor Verdini next.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a comment. I want to thank Vanessa, Brent, and the whole team that worked on it. When I read this report, it's not a report that's just saying blindly buy Canadian. It looked at all the aspects and it's protecting this municipality. There's times when we would have no choice to go south of the border. It says we're gonna go, but there's also conditions in there where staff's gonna look at it that if everything being equal, then Canadian company's gonna take the lead. So I want to thank you that this was something that's needed time to prepare, and I'm glad you took the time, and it's a very good document for us to start.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Verdini.
Thank you. Yes, similar comments to what Deputy Sandu just said. It's not guaranteed, and there are going to be things that we're going to have to get elsewhere. It is what it is. In regards to what Councillor Harper brought up, and we were following up with Jeff, anything that we have currently approved based on estimated budgets, will those come back to council based on potential tariff costs prior to actually commencing projects? Because some of stuff have come up, and then there's other things that are going to come up, and we generally come forward to council saying, here's kind of the idea, here's the estimation of what it's going to cost us, and it's like, okay, we're okay with that. And then if there are some slight differences, we would come to council to say, hey, we may need a little increase. But if we're talking 25, 30, whatever the number might be, an increase to a major project that's coming up, would we put the brakes on something like that first and have a wholesome discussion prior to even the commencement of anything that we've approved so far?
Vanessa can correct me if I'm wrong in any of this. There have been a number of procurements already launched and concluded in accordance with approved budgets prior to the tariffs taking effect. A fair number, actually. So we're kind of good and clear with respect to those acquisitions. As we move forward into the year, other items that are purchased in accordance with approved budgets and the revised procurement policy wouldn't come back to council as standard practice. If we do see impacts from tariffs or any other financial impacts such that we cannot award in accordance with approved budgets, those are the items that we would bring back to council and provide some further analysis on.
Okay, so with the procurement though that has already gone out and you've already secured based on what they say they're going to do, we have had in the past where, oh, unforeseen, this came up, this came up. Well, this is a huge unforeseen, as you said, it literally changes by the tweet. So if it comes forward now where we estimated X amount of dollars and here's the procurement, this is what you have to follow and this is what you have to come into, and all of a sudden now the contractor comes back and says, there is absolutely no way we can come into these terms based on what has happened with these tariffs. Does it just come to a stand? I'm just trying to understand how we would handle that with any project started.
So if a contract was awarded prior to the tariffs coming into place, and for some reason the contractor or the supplier comes back to us and said, oh, we've got to change our pricing, we can't meet that obligation, and if that goes over budget, that would come back to council.
No correction needed, Jeff, just supplementation. So we are working on large projects that are going to go to tender later this year, and we have consultants. So with those consultants who provide cost estimates, once the tariffs come into place, I would expect that they would do some further investigation to see if our current budget is going to be offside with any impacts from those tariffs. And that, like Jeff said, when we would come back to council if extra funds were required. If the cost estimate is inflated due to the tariffs, yes. That would be my expectations from a procurement perspective.
And I think the big project you're talking about potentially is the fire hall, correct? That will be our big project coming out.
There's the fire hall number 2 in Bond Head. There's also the wastewater expansion project that's imminently going to market. All of those things, the membrane facility. So those types of things, we have been in discussion with the membrane facility supplier for a few weeks now, ensuring that we can, you know, secure pricing before.
Yeah, so we'll still see the projects come back to us if they're over budget, things like that. So I'm comfortable with this policy because it is just like a policy to buy local, buy Canadian as best we can. But I like the report. It clearly talked about, you know, 3 bids, the whole bit. We do our best to want to do it, but in the end, it's about the corporation. It's about protecting the corporation overall and our financial responsibility to make sure that we're frugal with our spending. So the report clearly states a lot of that, and I'm quite comfortable with the report. So, Councilor Harper?
Just on that, and while we're talking about, you know, if procurements do come back to us regards to extra costs and stuff, and given that we could be given an options of like, do we proceed with this cost? Do we proceed with another retailer? If another option could be given for suggestions to council is if we held off or delayed, and what that impact would be, and to have that consideration if these do come back to us, so that we're able to actually be better informed on what those actually delays would be, or if there's any impact and such as well.
You want to respond to that?
Sure. I'll take that back and have discussions with staff during the time when reports have to come through, if that happens.
Councilor Giordano?
Just a quick question. I see this on a lot of bid sites and stuff like that where people are bidding on projects. If we have a made in Canada solution and it's 1% more money, let's say, or a small fraction, let's say it's $1,000 difference on a, you know, $200,000 project, would that eliminate them because they weren't the lowest bid, or is there consideration? Because a lot of times with governments, it's not lowest price is the winner, but if we're so close, I want to have that opportunity to say, hey, listen, we're right there. You know, I know that there's best practices in place where you can't go back to the company and say, hey, if you match this price, you're in. But, you know, we need to be able to have that type of a flexibility to ensure that we're not giving the Canadian companies, you know, push out for a small difference, if that's the case.
You want to answer that?
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Councillor Giordano. So you'll see in the table, for under $100,000, Canadian companies take preference. For the over 100,000, or it's over that now, but for the threshold that exceed the threshold, you'll see in my report I refer to evaluation criteria for future consideration. That's where we'll build in the requirement where if that Canadian company is marginally off on price, they would, because they're Canadian, potentially get additional points in consideration for that, so they could potentially get the award and not inadvertently lose out.
Yeah, and in the report, it talks about building that criteria so that we can find a way to, to work around the Canadian content. So that's why I say, I'm glad that we asked for the staff report. I'm glad we went, and we've been on this since late January. We've been looking at this. We've had a few people yell at us saying that we should be supporting Canadian. We have been for a long time. We just needed to get this right. There's a lot of municipalities that are going to be looking at this report, looking at our findings and following it. We've checked with other municipalities. I don't want to name them, not fair to name them, but they've said a lot of things, but they haven't got the policy in place. It's great to say, buy Canadian, we're going to stop this. But if the policy's not in place, and this is why I think where we did it right, we asked for the report, it's in front of us, we've got the policy moving forward, we're in a better position than most, to tell you the truth. So quite proud of it and happy that we've got this here, and I think it's a great document by Vanessa and the team. They sat down and did a lot of work on it, so thank you very much to everyone. All right. Further comments or questions from anybody? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We are on to 12.6, revised MZO request. So I have a recommendation on that report. CAO 2025-6 titled Revised MZO Request. Proposed South Bradford High School site and neighborhood be received for information. That Council endorse the revised MZO attached hereto for lands located at 2901 Line 6 and 2944 Line 5, Town of Bradford, Gwillimbury, subject to the owners entering into a restrictive covenant agreement with the town. That the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing be advised accordingly, and that the Minister be requested to issue the MZO following receipt of confirmation from the town that the restrictive covenant agreement has been executed, and that the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to take any steps necessary to give effect thereto. Moved by Councillor Giordano, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sandu. Councillor Giordano.
So when I first got this agenda, this is the first thing I went to read over 3 or 4 times, and I believe it was the CAO I was speaking. Yes, I contacted Jeff, the CAO, and I wanted to make sure that the details, I want the public to know this as well. So we're reapproving this in a way that is very protectionary for the town of Bradford, because if we turn around and say, nah, I'm not going to look at this revised MZO, the opportunity for us to kind of protect what we're doing, and it will still come to council for the development. It'll still come to our approvals for both the school and any development around it. So this is an opportunity to make sure that, we get the school, the zoning for it, and we can go ahead with that. But it still has opportunity for the developments to come to us, and that was really important. Is that we're not just doing a blanket approval at this point. And I think that's really important for everybody in the public to understand that it's there's still more processes involved in this. This is just securing this.
Yep. I've got Deputy Mayor Sandu, and then I'll go to Councillor Dykey. Sorry, Peter? Okay, Peter Ferragini first, and then Councillor Ferragini, and then I'll go to Councillor Dykey.
Thank you. Yeah, further to Councillor Giordano's point, when I was reading the report, basically the way it's stated, Council had said the only way we'd even consider this is that if there was that high school land put together. But because of the way that it was sent for the MZO, it would not be approved because they can't control it that way. So basically they have to have the conversations, put that together as a separate entity, approve the MZO, but it would be contingent on those conversations, because to me, the whole reason that we're doing this at all is because of the high school and how much we need it in this town. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be looking at this.
Thank you. Councillor Dykey, and then Councillor Kike.
Well, it's good to see that the landowner, Bradford Inc., and a number of companies donated 10 acres of land to the high school. So I guess definitely win-win, as as these high schools and all these schools are busting at the seams, it's great that we have a site. Now, this is I understand totally that this is just the first step of the process. There's no doubt about it that there's going to be a lot of infrastructure needed in the surrounding areas, and I just want to make a shout out on Brownlee. There's water courses that are there, and all these environmental water flows, impacts of wells, and all that. We have to take a seriously careful look at the neighborhood. So as these lands roll out, and we have to plan that whole area. Like, I know the school is selected there, but we have to get on with the planning process and look at these lands south of the 6th line, and the 6th line in Simcoe Road, that corner is very tight. We have to continue to look as I guess the county. We're waiting for the county to do the study and our study, but we need to evaluate this whole area of infrastructure, traffic, water systems, sidewalks. The whole 9 years has to be looked at. I know this is just the first step, but we have to be aware of everything on this land.
Okay, thank you. I've got Councillor Kike, and I got Councillor Scott next.
Yeah, so I guess everyone knows I'm not in favor of MZOs in general, but this one I support because it's giving us lands for the high school and other community lands around that high school. The only thing is, if there's anything we can do to make that high school be up to the 6th line and not be in the center of that subdivision, like move it north to the 6th line. If there's anything we can do, because it would make so much more sense than having all that traffic and congestion in the middle of residential area.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Scott?
So I'll just comment to say this is a good step to get the land identified for a high school, and we need to continue to advocate and work to help the school board secure the funding needed from the province to design and build the school, because we desperately need a second public high school, and we needed it yesterday.
Yes, thank you for all those comments. I'll just quickly comment. I was shocked to see it had to come back, because in the end, what we're doing is the same thing as what we were asking for, was a hold. An H1 on when we did the MZO, it was a hold saying, this high school has to be here. We have to have all this in place before you get anything done. I can't believe that MHA can't do it themselves with a hold. So we were quite confused, but so this is just the same thing we're doing. So we're going with this, covenant, the covenant agreement. So it's the same thing, but I'm glad that they've donated the 20 acres. To your question about bringing it up to the north, we fought as hard as we can, but they didn't want that. So we need this high school, like Councillor Scott said. We need this, we need it tomorrow. We need it right away. So our next job is to get this through and then go fight with the province to get the funding for this high school. So we've got to get this done. This is important, and so we thank everybody for their support of this. We're moving ahead, and hopefully we get this down to the ministry and we get them moving on it so we can get the high school going. Councillor Harper.
Yeah, good points by all my colleagues here. Definitely echo those 100%. Even your mayor, the wording on this thing, yeah, we're just changing around, which is great. To my colleague in regards to the movement of it, I mean, obviously, if we can't do it, good thing we have a better traffic mitigation strategy in place that'll actually allow us to help, when we have new areas like this developed, we're able to actually implement the speed mitigations right away before, instead of having them going back and whatnot. So we're able to implement these right away. So yeah, I agree with you. I would have loved it more at the north as well, but the need for the high school is outweighing everything. So
just one comment. It's not about speed mitigation. It's about people walking to school. And if it was on the 6th line, there would be more tendency for students to walk to school rather than be driven or drive to school.
Okay, thank you for all those comments. Further comments or questions on this? I do have a mover and seconder, correct? Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, we are on to 13, request for staff report. Any requests for staff reports tonight? Okay, seeing none then, we're going to go on. 14, we'll move into committee hall. Recommendation of the council resolve itself in committee hall at 8:43. Moved by Councillor Giordano, seconded by Councillor Faragini. All in favor? Carried. We'll take, do we need a 5-minute break or? Okay, let's take, what time is it? 8:43. Can we be back at 8:50? Okay, thank you. We'll take a 7-minute break.
to order at 8:53 p.m. Declaration of pecuniary interest on the general nature. You can declare when the item comes. None declared. Okay, getting into staff reports. 15.3, 2022 to 2026 council. I can't pronounce that. Priorities Year 2 Status Update and Midterm Review, DCAO 2025-4. Recommendation that DCAO 2025-04, titled 2022 to 2026 Council Strategic Priorities Year 2 Status Update and Midterm Review be received for information. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Verkaik, Councillor Giordano. Comments and questions? Okay, Councillor Ferragini.
Just wanted to say thank you for bringing this forward. We're constantly looking, when we first get onto council, our term, we set our strategic priorities. So it's always great to see an update as to what we have accomplished at this point and what is set to be done in the next couple quarters. So it's good to see this information, appreciate it, and it looks like we're on the right track at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mayor?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that it is our midterm review of our strategic priorities, and like Councillor Verdini said, we are moving along. We are looking at 59 activities planned, 64% completed, so we are moving along, and it's you know, our priorities. And I really want to say that we've really done well with our community safety and traffic congestion. We have managed to move that along quite well, and it was a huge priority for council. So glad to see that we're moving that along, and we're getting things done in that, and we look forward to moving further with that. We've got more studies coming with our approaches to our roads, east and west, things like that. So good to see. I know staff's been working hard at it, so we appreciate the effort they put forward, moving our strategic priorities forward, and look forward to the next 18 months, 20 months, moving even these much further down the road.
Okay, Councillor Daikie.
Just want to make a comment, and unfair comment, but this is how I feel. I felt that the traffic committee that was in the past, and the way it was as a smaller community group, I felt that was very more effective. I'm just talking me personally. Have been sitting on a small group. I just felt that it was easier to dialogue and talk to. Yes, I commend all members of council that I think we have with the speed cameras. Not everybody's in favor for all these tickets, but the speed cameras and a few mitigations that we have done on Northgate and Summerlin area, and you know, it's been very helpful. And I think there's much more. We all know there's much more work to do, because you know we still have areas of concerns in our municipality. So you know, that's something we have to continue as a council to concentrate on. Downtown revitalization, the old part of town. You know, I think we haven't. Well, I guess there'll be a plan in the future, but I don't think we have done enough in the downtown, and that's just my feeling. We still have some older buildings that has a lot of potential, but we still feel that we got to kickstart that either through the reconstruction of the road or there's ways that look at the real estate and improve the downtown for safety and whatever the case may be. I'm just speaking from the heart. So those are just my comments. I just wanted to speak it up, Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. When I look at the strategic priorities in regards to our traffic and safety mitigations, I'm quite pleased with what a lot of the rights that we were able to actually implement new strategies in regards to complaint areas for the residents, and helped actually relieve a lot of the stress. Because I was just driving on Northgate today, and I was thinking, oh my God, my inbox hasn't hit for almost a year in regards to traffic or speeders and accidents. And to this date, I haven't yet to see, and I was just checking with our traffic strategist, Chris, that you know there still hasn't been no accidents right at Northgate and Longview for this year, and usually we've had about 4 or 5. So just having that that mitigation there, as well as the ones over by our high schools and our schools and the areas that we've actually affected. We've done some really great work as a team, as a council, and there's definitely more work to be done. The one thing that I'm quite pleased about is that we took the safety aspect of this and we've enhanced our fire surveillance, our fire watch, our fire teams in regards to the growth of firefighters. We've increased police officers in regards to this town. We're still working on towards that. The other aspect of that is our healthcare aspect, and you saw from one of our our motions this evening in regards to that. We have 6 locations, possibly potential for the next hospital. And that was a huge thing in regards to, we have a growing community here and a younger community, a family community. 70% of our population is families. A large number of our population is seniors. So being able to travel and having that talk with them and saying that we put their safety first, I think still holds a lot of weight as being our number one strategic priority. I think we should see that through. Whether we move some other ones up, we've seen our economy really not increase. So how does that fare in regards to some of our other priorities when I looked at this list? Do we move some other ones up? Do we have other potentials in there? I believe the second one was our road infrastructures in regards to what was next. 3 or 4, there was like infrastructure developments that we had purposed or planned that might need to be a little bit held off because of our economy. It's still questions I think that will be asked of our council to make really hard decisions, right? So, I mean, what can you do in regards to that? I think we're sitting pretty good in regards to where our strategies are right now, especially the number 1. I'm open to hearing anybody else that would like to move any of those other recommendations up, though, for either more to the front, but I'm happy where it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are very good comments. Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
I'll be very quick. So, there's a lot. These are all 5 large strategic priorities, and the fact that we've been very successful, obviously with the help of town staff and the public, really contributing to this, it's been really good. My concern, and I think we talked about it a little bit, is we need to have a broader strategy that gets developed especially for our downtown. I look forward to the downtown strategy and revitalization. I think we need to go bigger with an ideology on how we're going to treat that. And I'm very curious on how we're progressing along there and what we can do to incentivize the revitalization and the regentification of it, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you. When I look at the work plan, and you see almost all of them yellow or green, and with only 1 or 2 red, but with a plan, that tells me that our staff has been working hard to deliver what this council asked them to deliver. And I want to thank the staff, and I also want to thank colleagues around this table, because it's your vision that they're carrying forward. And I want to thank our CAO. This is a good document. It's our plan, and they're working to it. And from what I'm hearing around the table, mostly we're satisfied with where we're heading. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. If there's no questions or comments, I have a mover and a seconder, correct? Okay. If there's no questions or comments, all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to next, proposed municipal diversity plan, Community Safety and Policing Act, CAO 2025-7, recommendation that report CAO 2025-7 titled Proposed Municipal Diversity Plan, Community Safety and Policing Act be received, and that the plan attached thereto be adopted. Moved by Mayor Ledoux, second, Councillor Harper. Any comments or questions? Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to comment on this report. It's well done, again, by our CAO. He put this together. the CSPA the new CSPA coming into effect as of April 1st, 2024, identified that we needed to have a diversity plan within our policing services. And being that we are a shared service with Innisfil and Bradford, we worked with Innisfil, or our CEO worked with Innisfil to adopt this plan. I know Innisfil is looking at it in the next day or two to adopt this also. But you know, it's a great plan. It's got good ideas, and I really endorse it. I've done a lot of diversity training. I did over 10 hours of diversity training, which was absolutely fantastic. And I learned so much. It was amazing when I went through it, and the things you think you know, and you go through this training, and it was just amazing how I got to get a much more knowledge about concerns and how we are biases and the whole bit when our subconscious is there all the time. So, but happy to see this come forward, and it's timely because we were looking at a new representative on the Police Services Board. A Bradford representative was appointed to the Police Services Board, and we were also at this time we were just looking for a new deputy chief. So we've got the new member for the board. She is up to speed and ready to go. So she'll be at our meeting this week or next week. I have a Police Services Board meeting. She'll be there, and we have our new deputy chief. I'm assuming will be announced very soon. I haven't heard myself yet. So, but the minute I do hear something, I'll share that with council, and we'll certainly get a chance to meet our new deputy CO. Quite happy on who the person is. I can't really say that because I'm not sure if he's accepted the position. But when I find out, I'll certainly let you all know. So, but great to see this, and looking forward to this being adopted tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for those comments. This is such timely that it has to be passed, adopted by both municipalities by April 1st. So it's very time-sensitive matter. Councillor Dehaney.
Thank you, Deputy Sandu. I am a bit disappointed that it is just coming now to council. This has been out in the media from last year. I actually brought it forward as well. I brought it to the CEO's attention as well, and also to the chief attention about this new mandate. And I also see here, so the mandate is to have diverse representative. And it specifically says Indigenous representative, and also having marginalized community representative on the board. So I'm very curious to see the board members and how it reflects what is mandatory from Ontario, because this is a mandatory recommendation. So I don't know what the board looks like, and it has to reflect, it is mandatory, that it must reflect what the province is asking for. So I know we just have a new board member. Again, I don't know who the board member is, right? But it's not about having woman or male. It has to be representative that represent a diverse community, marginalized community. So therefore, we have to be very strategic with when we are selecting those persons who submit their application. So I would love to see that. So my question is, if it does not represent what the province is mandating, what will we do from there? Are we going to send out open up another application for persons to apply and make sure that we're strategically getting those representatives on the board? Because it says that, and it is a mandate, it's mandatory.
Thank you. Before I pass it on to CAO or a rep on the board to answer it, the way I understood the report is that the new act or the direction is for municipalities to follow these guidelines for their municipal appointee. So on South Simcoe Police Board, we have 5 members, 2 mayors, one from each municipality, 2 provincial appointees. I hope they follow their own guidelines when they appoint members. We only have control of 1 person out of the 5 that we take turns between Innisfil and Bradford. I'm going to turn it over to our CAO or Mayor Leduc, if you want to take it to answer the question.
Well, I'll give it back to you in a second, but I'm believing our board is fairly diverse. We actually were meeting the mandate long before the province mandated this on April 1st, 2024. We have an Eastern Indian representative on the board. We have a female mayor. We now have another female representative. We only get to appoint one from both municipalities, so it's one person. It's a female, and then myself and the chair, which is appointed by the province. It's a male again. So to me, you know, it's we have diversity in that board. We've had it for a while, and I'm pretty proud of that board. And I think we can always do better. Don't get me wrong, we can always do better. But from what I see from our board, and I don't know other boards, but we already have some diversity built into it, and I think it's representative of the community. You can't have everyone there. You have to select which one. They have to have some qualifications. So I think we did a great job with making sure that we picked somebody that was qualified and brought it's not a white male. If that's what you're asking, it's not a white male. So I'm pretty happy with the diversity of the board as it is right now. So I'll turn to the CEO if he wants to comment.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Excuse me. The operative part of the legislation with respect to municipalities adopting these plans is set out on page 245 of the report, and I'll paraphrase here. But essentially, it's an expectation that each municipality that maintains a service board has to have a diversity plan in place to ensure members of the municipal board appointed by municipality are representative of the diversity of the population in the municipality. So ultimately, applying that is really up to council when you make your decision with respect to that one appointee that you have that decision authority over. And as set out in the policy itself, part of attracting a diverse group of candidates is how we recruit and advertise and ensure that we're spreading the word broadly. That's all part of the process that this new policy embraces. And then really, again, it's a determination that council of the day will have to make to ensure that it is properly applying the policy that gets adopted.
Thank you, Mr. McKnight. I believe what Councillor Dehaney asked is right. It's correct. But going forward, it has to be followed. But she had a follow-up. Go ahead, Councillor.
And if I'm not mistaken, it also states it does not have to be 5. It can be more than 5. So it is, I need to find it out. I believe I shared it before. I could check my email again and also share with council. I believe I actually did share it with council as well. I attached you guys on the email. This was last year, so it's almost a year later. And it does not have to be 5. It can be more than 5, right? Based on the new mandate. And it also specifically says you have to have representative of marginalized community and the indigenous community. And so when Mayor is talking about it is diverse, Mayor, you said you did a lot of diverse training. When you talk about diverse, and you mentioned about white male, I don't know what you mean by that. I really don't know. When you talk about white male, what are you talking about? But I'm just talking about what the province is required, right? It doesn't have to be 5 members, and the representatives have to reflect the community, right? Marginalized community. We also should have indigenous persons as well on the community. So again, I'm just going by what was submitted by the province, and we must follow it because we are a growing community, and we have to be very strategic in hiring. In anything that we're doing, we have to be strategic because representative is very important, right? So I'm just going by what is out there in the papers. I can forward it again to council members, and you guys can read it for yourself. So we need to be strategic about that. And again, as I said, I'm disappointed that it is just coming now to council a year later. Now we're rushed now to make a decision. So therefore it wasn't as important. So that's why it wasn't brought to council, because it should have brought to council. The police department should have done a presentation on it, right? Other municipalities are doing it. Why wasn't a presentation done on this new policy that was brought out by the province? So I'm very disappointed with that. And to make a quick decision now, right, on it, of course, you know, which is definitely not fair.
Thank you. Those are good points, Councillor Dehaney. this, when the board was established, it goes from the term of the council, and it was done at 2022 at the start. And I believe this is adopting the plan, the diversity plan that is before us. It's not to appoint the members, and I don't think, if I remember correctly from reading and you're right, you did send out the email, if I remember it, that it wasn't a directive to go back to municipalities and rehash it, but it is to go into it when the new board is developed, that these things are put in place. And it's just not tied to the board members. It's if you read it, it's also telling how the organization is going to deal with the staff and all the other stuff. So very good points. They are noted. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I have a mover and a seconder, Madam Clerk. Okay, all in favor?
So what are we going to do from this point? Are we going to revisit it and read it carefully and apply what was requested? Because it's 5 members, but it's allowed more than 5 members. So from this point, I would like to have a recommendation for us to visit that and make sure that we are following that, because it can be more than 5 members.
I believe I'm going to turn it over to our CAO for direction, but I believe that the recommendation before us is to adopt the plan. What we're asking is over and above than what this report is. This report is dealing with adopting the plan. The rest is up, but I'll have our CAO comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Councillor, excuse me, sorry, Duhaney is quite right. The size of the board could be larger than the minimum of 5. It's currently set out that way in the police services agreement between the 2 municipalities. If council wants to revisit that, you could pass a resolution directing staff to initiate those kind of discussions with Town of Innisfil. So that's the kind of resolution we need to move that forward.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. To our CAO, when this came to us in closed session and we voted on it, were these considerations brought forward to us? I know, Councillor Danny, you may have missed that vote, but when we were there voting on our recommendations for the new member, were those already, knowing that this proposal or plan was coming forward, wasn't that already taken into consideration in regards to the new members that were actually given to us?
It wouldn't be appropriate for me to disclose the extent of the discussion in the closed session. Each member of council would have evaluated the candidates under whatever criteria you apply to that at that day. So that's probably the most I could speak to on that matter.
Okay. Going back to this recommendation that's before us, any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed?
Let me just comment to Councillor Dehaney's request. And it's like the CEO said, we will have to come back as council, ask to open up the agreement to see if we can expand the board. That's something I can actually bring to the board. If you'd like, I'll bring it to the board to have a discussion with Mayor Dolan and the rest of the board to see if we're a small service and everything we do is going to cost us. So, but we're certainly open it up. We'll have that discussion and then we'll come back. And if it's something that both mayors are kind of interested in, I'm open to it if there's no ifs, ands, or buts. But we'll certainly have that discussion. Then I'll let you know what the discussion was, and then we'll come back to this council and we'll see if we want to put a motion on the floor to go into that agreement, because it's an agreement we have between us and Innisfil for this police service. So we'll have to do it that way.
Okay, you have a follow-up. Go ahead.
And the reason for that is, how can we adopt a policy without having the representative there to contribute to this? Like, you need to have the right representative as well, a broader representative, right, to add to the agenda, to add to whatever this policy is. We don't want to leave nobody out. We want to make sure that we're serving everyone. So that's what I love when the province open it, because they realize that there are people underserved, right? And now that we're growing, we need to have different representative, different perspective at the table so that everybody can be served. The reason why the province opened it up is because groups are being underserved, right? And to adopt something like this, knowing that we didn't do it the way that it should be done, right? And again, as I said, this was 1 year, 1 year later, and we're coming now to make a decision. 1 year later, we could have had more conversation on this a year before. If, again, chief or whoever the spokesperson is, should have done a presentation so that we can have a better understanding, so that we can vote better on this.
Not to debate back and forth, but the
Your,
CSBA
Your
was-
Worship, we are debating back and forth. The vote has happened. If this matter needs to be brought back, it can be brought back as a next council meeting as a motion or a notice of motion. Or as you suggested, you can bring it at the board level and bring it back. After the vote has happened, we're not gonna go back and forth. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go to a recommendation that the committee of the whole adjourn at 9:19 p.m. Mover and a seconder, please. Councilor Giordano, Councilor Perugini, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I'll reconvene the meeting at 9:19. So I have committee minutes and recommendations. So I have no committee recommendations, no new business. We're on to bylaws. Recommendation bylaws 2025-30-30 and 2025-32 be passed. 30 is a temporary road closure special events bylaw, and 32 is a partial assumption bylaw amendment. We got that amendment and the plan from our staff. So questions or concerns? Seeing no, I got to get a mover second. Sorry, moved by Councilor Giordano, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Seeing no questions or concerns, all in favor? Thank you. Where are we? We're on to, sorry, I got to flip my page. 21.1, general announcements. Okay, council announcements. We have proclamations and flag raisings for the month of March. We have, it starts in March. The flag raising ceremony will be held on Wednesday, March 5th, 11:30 at the courthouse, 11:30 a.m. at the courthouse. We have Presbyterian Heritage Month in March. We had a proclamation last Saturday at the 125 Simcoe Road. International Women's Day was held March 8th. We had a proclamation at that also, and it was a wonderful event. We had a great time. I think all of council enjoyed themselves, and I know Councillor Dehaney, I hope you enjoyed yourself at the table also. Hopefully the men took care of you for serving that table very well, or all the tables very well. National Transit Driver Appreciation Day, March 18th, proclamation, that's tomorrow, so look forward to, if you see your transit drivers, please say hi to them and give them appreciation for that day. International Day of Elimination of Racial Discrimination is March 21st. That's a proclamation only. Again, so we'll read that on the 21st. Epilepsy Awareness Month and Purple Day is March 26th. We have a flag raising scheduled for Monday, March 24th at 9 a.m. at the Courthouse Yard. So if you can make it out, please come out and join us on Epilepsy Awareness Day on March 26th. Up and coming events. So we have some 3 significant events here. We have a traffic calming PIC, which is going to be held Thursday, March 20th, 4 to 8 p.m. here at the Leisure Center, just next door, our BW Leisure Center in the community corner. So please come and see us about that traffic calming program. We also have a notice of public consultation. We have that happening on 8th line improvements. So that is on Monday, March 24th from 5:30 to 7:30 at our community hub. It's our new building at 177 Church Street. So please join us there. It's 8th line improvements from Berry Street to 10th Side Road, and from 10th Side Road north to 8th line and Reagents Park. So Reagents, from Reagents back to 8th line. And then we have a great opportunity here. We have Battle of the Blades. I think it's returning this year. It is our Bradford firefighters hosting versus our South Simcoe police officers. And all proceeds from that go to the food bank please come out. It's Saturday, April 15th, 7 p.m. Bring a non-perishable item to help support the food bank. It's a free event, so please come out and help that and promote that. And it was a fun event last year, and we look forward to having another great event this year. We also have other events and campaigns. So we have our Scannon Creek groundbreaking ceremony. It's Friday, March 28th from 2 to 3. It'll be at the Scannon Creek, up at our up Scannon Creek. We have a groundbreaking. So it's Friday, March 28th, 2 to 3, Scannon Creek Conservation Area. Please, if you can, council, come on out. Yeah, we know, we supported that greatly at our council and mayor golf tournament in our first year, and we donated 100,000 of that. So if you can make it, please come. It's a big event for us to make that groundbreaking. It's going to be a great educational center for a lot of kids. Looking forward to that. Other events, we have our Youth Council Advisory Committee. That is March 19th at the Zima Room right here from 6 p.m. Come on out and see the Youth Committee. Enjoy the youth. It's a fun time, and we look forward to those ideas that they're bringing. And it's going to be a fun meeting on March 19th, 6 p.m. Strategic Initiatives Committee, we have March 25th, 6:30, again right here in the Zima Room. We also have the regular and council committee whole meeting on April 1st, 7 p.m. Again right here. Come out and see council and all of our committees. Come out and join us at our committee meetings. We'd love to see the public input. And at National Transit Appreciation Day. So today we honor the hardworking BWG transit workers who ensure our community stays connected, safe, and on the move. From navigating through traffic to offering assistance with a smile, our transit drivers make a real difference in every day. Thank you, transit drivers. So that's tomorrow. Please get out and say hi to the transit drivers. Any further? That's it? Okay, thank you. Anybody want to make any other general announcements? Okay. Let's move on to 21.2 County Council update. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. The council agenda was light. We had a presentation for Loft Community Services asking county for funding to invest in the project here. And they also asked the county if they're open. Loft is open to sitting with them and looking at their older site. If county can take it, that would deliver more affordable housing in Bradford. The other one was the It Starts campaign, which this council proudly every year supports to reduce racism and discrimination. Then the waste audit results were shared with council. Status of organics, it was noted that the 8 weeks data where they picked up the client's garbage carts and took out all the contents and checked them, 46.64 of the contents were organics. That means the people are not using the organic carts. Staff is to come back with a report, coming up with other options or using technology to get people to use this. And then we had the public meeting, which we have previously shared on the county composition, and that bylaw is coming back to council next Tuesday. That's all I have. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And just it was a fascinating note, and he touched about the organics. I mean, I think we're #1 in Ontario when it comes to organics. I think we move about 70% of our product organics. But when they did the study of our garbage, they found 46% of that could have been in the organics. So we could, that organics will help our landfills, and we're in trouble with our landfills because we have our last one closes by 2027. So anytime we can move the organics out of that, it saves room in our landfills. So the more recycling, the more organics, the better off we are. It reduces our waste overall. So thank you for that update. So we'll move on to 22, confirm proceedings. Recommendation of bylaw 2025-33, a bylaw to confirm proceedings of regular council and committee of whole meeting dated March 18, 2025 be enacted. Moved by Councillor Kike, seconded by Councillor Dykey. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And then adjournment. Recommendation of the meeting hereby adjourn at 9:27. Moved by Councillor Giordano, seconded by Councillor Dehaney. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Good night, everyone, and thank you for joining us.